Hello, it's me, the ukulele teacher, here with the special monthly Q&A video for $10 plus patrons. Excuse the mess, we're just sort of reorganizing a few things. Like I said a couple of weeks ago, we recently moved house, and I'm still getting this office how I like it. So if it does look a bit of a tip, then I apologize in advance. So let me just turn off this fan because it's super hot. But I'm worried that the noise might be disturbing you guys. Okay, cool. So firstly, before we go any further, I just want to say a massive thank you to all of you guys for your support over the last however many months it is that you've been supporting me. I really couldn't do it without you guys, and you mean the world to me, and genuinely and seriously, I am super grateful for everything you guys have done for me. Please be sure to check out all the videos and lessons that I post, because I've been posting a lot recently, and I don't know if the people are watching them, I don't know if people are getting notifications, so if you haven't been getting notifications, if you haven't been watching the videos, then check them out, because there's a lot of good stuff there for you guys to have a look at. With that in mind, let's get the Q&A video underway. So our first question comes from Lacey McCafferty, who says, "So cute." That's because I posted a photo of me and my nephew Felix. My kids like to play with me, and Felix gives me hope for them. I should point out, that's just me hanging out with Felix. He's not actually playing a ukulele. But who knows, one day maybe he will. Anyway, question. I am struggling with E chords, and any advice would be welcome. Any good songs with a variety of E chords? Yeah, the E chord is a perpetually troubling proposition for many a ukulele player. The first version of the E chord that I learnt was this one, which is a sort of bizarre yogic stretching exercise, which is hugely difficult. It's basically, if you guys know the D shape with the 3 fingers on the 2nd frets here, it's like you would put your 3 fingers on the 4th fret here and bend your 1st finger back to the 2nd fret. Now, I always considered that was like the proper way to play the E chord, and then the lazy way to play the E chord is by barring the 4th fret and adding your 4th finger to the 7th fret of the 1st string. And for some reason, I always told myself that because it was easier, and again, that's only easier if you're only good at bar chords, that because it was easier, then for some reason it wasn't the right way to play it. But I've read Will Grove White's book, which I can't actually see at the moment on my bookshelf. I do need to tidy up. But anyway, Will's book, which is called Get Plucky, A Guide to the Ukulele, says that he actually prefers to play it like this with the bar chord on the 4th fret. So that's as good a way as any to play it. In terms of songs that have a variety of E chords, I'm sure there are some that I've taught, and for the life of me I can't think what they are right now. The one that I was going to suggest, I've just realised, is actually playing a D chord, not an E chord, which is the New York, New York lesson that I just posted the other day, where you're basically playing that barred D, but you're getting a little bit of melody on that 1st string. 5, 5, 4, 5, 2, 5, 5, 4, 5, 2. Then to E minor. 5, 5, 4, 5, 2, A. I realise now that that's the D chord, not the E chord, but I guess if you wanted to play it up here. Then that would help you with your E chord. I guess basically what I'm trying to say is there's no cheating. This is fine to play, and this is fine to play. And really the only way to sort of get your head around it is to practice a lot and practice slowly. Find chords that have got that E shape in, and try playing it both different ways. So if you find a chord with the E shape, try playing it this way, and try playing it this way. And try stretching yourself and finding a way that you don't like playing it, and then try again finding it with a way that you do find easiest. But basically, yeah, E chords are a bit of a pain in the backside, unfortunately. So all I can really suggest is just, you know, taking it nice and slow and practicing them. And also, don't be afraid to do that bar chord, because it isn't as hard as it looks. And also, don't feel pressured to do it this way, because even though it is sort of the lowest way of playing the E chord on the fretboard, it's also super tough. But it is weird that the E chord is so problematic for the ukulele when it's sort of the easiest chord to play on the guitar. So anyway, Lacey, good luck and let me know how you get on. Helena N says, hello, I was wondering, it's getting hot where I live. I can sympathise, I'm in Los Angeles right now. It's around 30 degrees C, which I think is about somewhere between 90 and 100 degrees F. My house is even hotter, yikes. Should I be worried about how I store ukes when not in use? I was going to say, on the whole, it doesn't matter, but if you're in the sort of 30s or the 90s or whatever, then it might be something to think about. With that being said, it does depend what kind of ukulele you've got. If you've got like a $1,000 ukulele, then definitely you might want to look at getting a humidifier. When I had that $1,000 ebony Kali ukulele, Koa wood Kali ukulele last year, that came with a humidifier and a case. And yeah, that was absolutely crucial because, you know, you don't want the wood to start warping or the instrument to lose its moisture and it's sort of, I don't know, ukulele-ness. So definitely a humidifier is something to think about. However, on the whole, if you haven't got a super expensive ukulele, just a, I forget the word is now, like a solid top ukulele. If it's basically just sort of a plywood ukulele or a plastic ukulele, then the chances are you should be okay without one. But yeah, if you're living in the, where are you living, Helena? Like in the desert or something, I would definitely recommend getting a humidifier. Also, I store my ukuleles in a closet where hopefully it's a bit cooler. There's no light, there's no heat source. Obviously I haven't like spent any time in there, so I can't be sure that it's no cooler, no warmer. But yeah, definitely keep them in a cool, dark, dry-ish place. And yeah, if it's going to be like 100 degrees, then definitely think about getting a humidifier. What I'm going to do is put a link in the description of this video to the humidifier that I got from Carla, because that certainly seemed to do the job. So basically, yeah, if it's super hot and you've got a really nice ukulele, definitely think about getting one. Even if you haven't got a humidifier, definitely try and keep them in a cool, dark place if you can. That's my advice to you. Helena. Emma says, oh, this is nice. I will read out the entire exchange because you guys, and I love this, you guys are kind of forming a community of yourself and helping each other out, which has saved me from having to answer this particular question. But let me answer the question, let me read the question, and then I'll answer the question, and then I'll give my perspective as well. So Emma says, I'm planning on buying my third ukulele, but I can't decide on which one I would like. I know for a fact that I would like a Carla or the oil can one. I'm leaning towards the concert striped ebony. I was wondering if you could show us all the different ukuleles that Carla has sent you and which ones were your favourites. Then Tartan Martin has replied and said, hey Emma, I'm very much a newbie to ukulele. I've been playing 4 to 5 months now, and after 2 months of playing with a small, cheap soprano, I bought the Carla Striped Ebony Concert, and I have to say it's an amazing ukulele. With a great sound, I guarantee when you play it and hear it, you'll love the sound. It's a great price and a great ukulele. And Emma said, thank you for this. I think this basically convinced me to buy the Striped Ebony now. And Emma, I'm really glad that it's convinced you to. I would certainly echo those sentiments and suggest that if that's kind of what you're up to, then definitely go for that. I love my oil can ukulele, no question. Unfortunately, I'm not able to show you all the ones that I've been sent by Carla because, well, I've given them to you guys mostly. So they send me a ukulele or two every month, and then generally I give away that ukulele at the end of the month. So a lot of the good ones, sadly, I don't have anymore, and my ukulele closet is actually a bit of a mess right now, so the rest of them are kind of in boxes and bags and aren't totally unpacked. I really like this long neck soprano with a gloss finish. That's actually been a good standby for me over the last year or so. That's become a uke that I've really come to rely on. And I certainly recommend the oil can uke as well, but it's a very different sound. I mean, it's basically like getting a mini electric guitar. So it really depends what kind of thing you're looking to play on it. For example, AC/DC, you might want that oil can ukulele, or the Safaris as well, you know, Wipeout. But either way, you can still play all of that stuff on a regular acoustic instrument as well. But good luck with that, Emma. And to go into a bit more depth about what you were asking, a lot of people say, you know, I can't decide which uke to get, where do I start? And two things I would say for that. Firstly, I've got an Amazon store, which I'm actually in the process of updating, but it's amazon.com/shop/theukuleleteacher. where I've just added the ukuleles that Carla has sent me, or other ukuleles that I've played and that I've liked, and you know, I recommend them by virtue of the fact that I've played them and that I put them on the store. Generally, in terms of picking a ukulele to play though, I would say it's dependent on your budget, and generally you get your money's worth with your ukulele. So a $20 ukulele probably isn't going to be that great. It won't stay in tune, it might be made out of a cheap material, you might not be able to, the strings might sound horrible, they might snap, it might have bad intonation. A $50 ukulele might be a little bit better, might be a reasonable-ish starting one, but you know, once you start getting up into the $100, $200, $300, $1,000 ukuleles, then it's like, you know, you get what you pay for. It's like a car. If you get like an old banger for $100, then you'd be lucky to get it down to the end of the driveway. But if you buy a Prius with all the trimmings for $40,000, then hopefully you're getting a good car at the end of it. I have to say, I don't know anything about cars, so I hope that's a good example. But what I'm trying to say is basically, you know, think about your budget and what you want to play, and then have a look at ukuleles that are around that price. Go with an established brand. Check out YouTube and see if there's other people playing the ukulele that you are interested in getting, and see what you think it sounds like. And always, 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 if at all possible, try before you buy. Even if you end up buying it on Amazon or ordering it online in the end, if you can, I always recommend going down to your local music shop and just holding that ukulele in your hands and giving it a good strum, just so you have an idea of what it's going to feel like when you actually get it into your hands. So there you go, a little bonus answer of my sort of ukulele buying guide. But as I say, I love it when you guys sort of work together and help answer each other's questions. That really warms the cockles of my heart. By the way, I'm looking over here because I've got my iPad with the questions on. And the next question is from Brianna, who says, I just got a new Fender tenor uke and it came with a low G string. Do you have any good recommendations of songs, especially finger picking, for either low or regular G string? Yeah, absolutely. Brother is Israel Kamikawoule. I'm sorry, I know I butchered that name. I really do apologize. Brother is always, I don't know about always, but often played with a low G, and it made his ukulele absolutely sing. It just gives it a bit more depth. You get a bit more bottom end, and it just sounds a little bit less twee than a regular ukulele, and a bit more full. It gives it a bit more of a full sound. In terms of finger picking, if that's kind of the stage you're at, what I would do is check out some of my easy song tutorials with the chords that you can play, and just start figuring out your own fingering patterns for them. So again, just assuming you've got a song, there's a million of them, with the chords C, F, A minor and G. Sorry, I probably should have tuned that in a little better before we started. Just start teaching yourself basic fingering patterns like thumb 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, thumb 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Thumb 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, thumb 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. And just start adding finger picking patterns to songs that you already know how to play the chords for. And then once you sort of master them, obviously play them slow until you can play them at full speed. And then once you master the basic finger picking patterns like that, then you know, search for some more complicated ones and see how you get on with them. But basically, in terms of finger picking, unless you're actually learning a melody, then the chords are going to be the same more or less. So you can just practice right hand exercises and see how you get on with the chords that hopefully you already know. Good luck with that Fender tenor uke, and good luck with the low G as well. I've been meaning to tune up, meaning to restring one of my ukes with a low G for a long time, but I really hate stringing ukuleles and guitars actually. I'm just really, really bad at it. So good luck, and let me know how you get on. I'd be really, really interested to hear. The next question is from Beth, who says, hey John, that's my name, don't wear it out. Do you have any advice for mastering hammer-ons and pull-offs? Sometimes it sounds super nice and satisfying, and others I just end up muting the string or catching other strings on the pull-off. Is it any easier with an electric uke? Yes. Firstly, yes, it's 1,000 times easier with an electric ukulele because With an electric ukulele, much like an electric guitar, the sound that you're getting lasts a lot longer. So with a ukulele, there's not so much sustain, whereas if you play it with an electric uke or an electric guitar, which I haven't got plugged in, I'm afraid, then you can just play one note and it'll just last for a long time, or a lot longer time anyway, because there's a lot more sort of oomph behind it with the electricity. I know that's not a very scientific explanation, but yeah, basically things are a lot easier on an electric guitar or an electric ukulele because the notes will just last for a long time, as long as you don't accidentally cut them off. In terms of advice for mastering hammer-ons and pull-offs, I would actually say it's the opposite to what I normally say. Normally I say take it slow and steady until you can do it at full speed. With hammer-ons and pull-offs, particularly because the sustain isn't great on most ukuleles or most acoustic instruments, the trick is to actually get the finger movements as fluid and as quickly as you possibly can. So for example, the, what is it called? Havana? Was it Havana? I think it was called Havana. That started with a really complex sort of finger picking pattern. The notes were something like 2, 4, 5, 7, 5, 4, 2, all hammering on like 2, 4, 5, 7, 5, 4, 2. It wasn't exactly that, but so say you're trying to play this. It's going to be almost impossible to just play it very slowly, because by the time you're getting to sort of the second or third note, it will have died out. So basically, the main thing to do is practice really hard with your fingering, and then pull really hard with your right finger or right hand, so you get a bit more oomph behind what you're playing. But the secret is, as with when you're strumming, to be fair, is try not to touch those fret wires or mute the string. Oh, I'll be back in a second. My wife's home. So I'm back, but to sum up, basically my advice, particularly if you're playing on a regular acoustic ukulele, is actually to practice that movement and practice getting it as smooth and as fluid and as fast as possible, because the slower you play it, the sooner the notes themselves are gonna die off. And yes, it is much easier with an electric ukulele. And the second part of Beth's question is also any tips for muting strings to get a scrapey, chucky sound. I find this especially tricky in songs with quick chord changes. Cool, okay, well yeah, I've got a couple of tips for that, because I think I tend to gloss over this in a lot of my videos because I expect, I just sort of forget that not everyone knows how to do it. But basically, it depends what kind of chord you're playing. So if you're playing what's called an open chord, where you have some open strings, so anything down here basically, like a C, you've got these 3 open strings, or an F, you've got these 2 open strings, or a G, you've got the open string here. Anything with an open string, it's kind of harder to do it, because you've still always got that open string that's going to make some noise. So if you're playing what's called an open chord, or a chord in the open position, then what I do is I use my little finger to just rest it over the strings like this. Or indeed, if it's a chord where I can't quite reach my little finger, I'll use whichever fingers I'm not using. So for example, for the C, I just rest my 2 fingers here. But the F, or the A minor, I can use the little finger without any problems. And again, what I'm doing with that little finger, I'm not pushing it down on the fretboard, where it would make a note like this. I'm resting it on the string, so it's touching the strings, but it's not pushing down on the strings. So basically, whichever chord it is that you're playing, find some spare fingers that you can rest on the strings when you want to make that muted or scrapey, chucky noise. That all changes, however, when you start playing bar chords. Let's say we're playing an E chord here. A bar chord, although I normally think of it as something with like a bar across all 4 strings, basically just means a chord with no open strings. So anyway, let's say we go back to that E chord here. All you have to do here, you don't have to use your little finger to block them, or I guess you could if you wanted to. But the easiest way to do that is just to lift up your fingers so they're still touching the strings, but they're not pushing down to make a note. So they just stay exactly where they are, but you just lift them up ever so slightly. They're still touching the strings, but they're not pushing down enough to make a note. So basically, if it's an open string, use your spare fingers to block the strings. If it's an open chord, use your spare fingers. And if it's a bar chord, just keep your fingers where they are, but lift them up so you're not pushing down on the fretboard, you're just touching the strings. So I hope that helps you with the how to mute or get a little scrapey noise. And again, as always, just practice and start slow and carry on from there. So, next question. Hi John, I've trouble figuring out a good rhythm or strumming pattern for songs. Another trouble of mine is to switch between strumming patterns. I know you made the video for this in your beginner's guide, but this counting thing always gets me different results. Okay, this is an interesting one. Interesting. Most people just stick with what I think Cynthia Lynn calls the island strum if it's in 4, which is a sort of down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. And I find once you get that pattern down, and by the way, I've known that strumming pattern for decades on the guitar, and I never called it the island strum before Cynthia Lynn did, but either way, that's a name that you guys might know, so that's what I'm going to call it for now. The down, down, up, down, up strumming pattern. So, strumming, you know, you have to count along really because you've got to stay in time with the chords. So it's generally, let's say, most songs, not all, but a large percentage of songs that you guys will be playing will be in 4 time. So you've got to get that, you've got to start to hear that 4 while you're playing. Because it really will just help you. It might be tough at first, but again, you just need to get the hang of it. If you want to progress as a player, I mean, if you're happy just kind of learning by ear and just repeating what you hear, then that's fine. But the way you're going to get better at strumming and picking out and finding and working out new patterns is by counting. So let's just try it with that down, down, up, down, up pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you'll basically hear that the down is on the, you know, like the beats kind of match up with the heavy beats. The heavy strums match up with the heavy beat on the count. So the 1 is the main beat on that pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But some patterns, the emphasis is on like the 2 and the 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and... So I'm not entirely sure this is helping you, but basically what I'm saying is if you can get the counting down, then even by playing the same down, down, up, down, up pattern, you can start to make it sound a bit different by just putting the emphasis on different beats. And when you understand where the beats are and where the chord changes are, then you can start to think about different patterns as well. I have to say, personally, aside from that down, down, up, down, up pattern, I really do tend to play by ear, which I know isn't the most helpful thing to say as a teacher. So what I was just playing there, I couldn't tell you what that was, but it is in 4 time. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, I know that was a bit of a weird thing to play and to say, but what I'm trying to say is the counting thing, it might be tough, but that is what you need to master before you can start strumming, because Generally, I really simplify the strumming patterns when I'm teaching them, but if I was playing them on the guitar or on my own or with a band, I would play a lot more complex strumming patterns than I play on the videos. And that's just because I'm aware of where the chord changes come and where the emphasis is on the beats. And I actually met a guy a few months ago who's been playing the guitar for, I don't know, 10, 15 years. And he knows all the chords and he sort of sounds great on his own, but he just doesn't understand where the chord changes come, and he doesn't understand the counting to 4. So if you try and play a song with him, it's almost impossible because he just has no sense of time or rhythm. He sounds good when he's playing on his own because he can sort of hear and feel what he's doing, but there's just no way of possibly playing with other people because he just, you know, one chord he'll play for 3 beats, one for 1 beat, one for 7 beats, because he just has no concept of rhythm or timing. So I know it's hard, but the counting is absolutely critical, I would say, in terms of learning strumming patterns. So go back to that video and try again and just keep working on it, nice and slow. Practice counting to 4. Oh, a good thing to do is listen to songs on the radio or on your computer or whatever it is that you listen to music on nowadays, and try and hear where the chord changes come in there and try and count out the beats on these songs that you like, and you'll start to hear it all fit together. It's basically just another piece of the musical puzzle, and when it falls into place, you'll be amazed you didn't get it before, but you will get it soon. I promise you. You just need to listen to more music and start counting along with it and figuring out where the key beats are, and then strumming along with it. And finally, Chantal has a question about my app. Just wondering if you'll ever consider adding baritone tuning options to your app. It's my go-to ukulele app, thank you, but now I'm also learning baritone. I have to keep looking up other resources. To be honest, Chantal, I'm not entirely sure what's going on with the app at the moment, and I need to have a big talk with the guys who put it together, and I can't really say more than that right now. So for that, I apologise. Also, personally, I don't even have a baritone ukulele, so I'm not really sure what to suggest with that either. But in terms of what's going on with the app, at the moment, I don't know, and I need to have a bit of a talk with some people. Sorry, I can't be more specific than that. Anyway, I just want to say a massive thank you, guys, once again for supporting me for the last month. You really have changed my life, and believe me, there's a lot of things that are going to be changing in my life over the next month or two. But I can't say much about that either. You will be aware of it when it happens, but there's some big stuff coming up for me personally and on the channel as well. So, and none of it would be possible without you guys. So I just want to say a big thank you. And as always, go back and check out some videos. If you haven't seen all the videos from this month, go back and check them out. And thanks for your support. I'll be back again soon with some more great lessons and videos for you. Until next time, and until next month, I love you all, and I wish you the best.